Whenever anyone is having problems with pelvic floor issues, it's often recommended that they do Kegel exercises, but many times people don't have a good understanding of how to do Kegel exercises, even though that's what's been instructed. So hopefully this video will clear up a few things about how to do Kegels. I'm Holly McDonald. I'm a pelvic floor physical therapist. And the pelvic floor muscles are muscles that are at the bottom of your pelvis. If we didn't have these muscles, there would be a big open space at the bottom. So they completely create the floor of your pelvis. And those muscles attach all the way around. They attach in the front, they attach all the way in the back, as you can see there. And they help us with a variety of bodily functions. They help us with support so that our organs inside don't fall. They help us with circulating fluid through that area by contracting and relaxing and helping circulate the fluid. They actually create cross bracing, which stabilizes the pelvis to keep it from racking back and forth. And they also help us open and close the openings there. So that's just a variety of things that the pelvic floor muscles do. Most of the time they do those things without us thinking about them. They should work on reflex, and we shouldn't necessarily have to think about contracting them all the time. But sometimes there are instances where we do need to improve their strength or rehab them from injury, and making sure that those muscles are activating properly is an important part of rehabilitating the pelvis in general. So Kegel exercises are often prescribed to help regain strength and control of that area. Now, every muscle in your body has a spot in your brain that works that particular muscle. And some of those muscles we've practiced a lot, and we can activate them and tighten them really easily. The connection between that spot in our brain and that muscle is really strong. But other muscles, we don't have as strong a connection in order to make those muscles work with our intention. Sometimes we have to practice strengthening the connection. So the first thing you need to do in order to do Kegel exercises is to make sure that your connection is intact. So you would have to think about where that body part is, really down at the bottom, visualizing, and intentionally try to activate or squeeze these muscles. You can think about squeezing or closing the openings there. That would be the rectum or the vagina if you have one, or if you're male, you can think about drawing in the penis, like pulling it shorter and closer. Those would be ways to activate the pelvic floor muscles. Now the pelvic floor muscles, you may notice, kind of are rounded at the bottom. They almost create like a hammock shape. And when they tighten, the fibers in that hammock tighten and shorten and come together, and it makes the hammock draw up. You may actually feel a sensation of like a lifting up inside your body. And then as you relax it, you should feel almost like a dropping down. This would be very subtle, and you won't see a lot of movement. This would all be things that you can feel on the inside, a drawing up, and then intentionally relaxing and letting it drop down. Now, it can be hard for some people to really connect in with their pelvic floor muscles. You have to tune into that quiet voice inside your body, but thinking about lifting and tightening and drawing up, and then intentionally relaxing and letting it drop down. If you have a sensation at all of that lift, it can be helpful to think of it as an elevator, where you get in on the first floor of the elevator, and then you contract and lift up to the 10th floor, and then relax back down to the first floor. Lifting up to the 10th floor and relaxing back down to the first floor. And really notice for you in your body, are you lifting all the way, and are you relaxing all the way? For muscles to work properly, they have to be able to do both. They have to be able to contract and shorten, and they also have to be able to soften and lengthen so that they can be prepared to contract again. If they don't lengthen, there's nowhere for them to go on the next contraction. So practice the contracting, but then also the relaxing. If you feel like you have good connection to your pelvic floor, then I would practice some repetitions of that, nice and slow, making sure you go all the way to the 10th floor and back down to the 1st floor. I would start with something simple like a set of 10 and work your way up to sets of 20 and then maybe up to 3 sets of 20. If you can easily perform 3 sets of 20 Kegel contractions, you may then want to work on endurance by holding the contractions a little longer, because pelvic floor muscles are part of your posture, and postural muscles don't just contract and relax, they have to hold for longer periods of time. Be cautious of substituting other muscles in your body for your pelvic floor muscles. Take note of whether you're contracting your abdominal muscles or your hip muscles or your thigh muscles as part of that contraction. It's common for those muscles to work together in natural movement, but for the purposes of Kegel contractions, you can be fooled by thinking you're contracting the right muscles when actually you're contracting a substitute muscle. So pay attention to that. If you're struggling with feeling connected or feeling like you can contract or relax your pelvic floor muscles, pelvic floor physical therapists have great techniques to help you engage your muscles and feel connected in your body. I'm Holly McDonald, a pelvic floor physical therapist. If you're interested in more information about pelvic health, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube under Relief Physical Therapy. See you next time.